Look at her pushing on it. See her pushing on it with her nose? Oh, she's got it raised up a little bit. Well, my babies have finally made it into the Texas Hunter feeder and South Fresh Deer Food. I think there's two babies and 4 mamas out there. 2 babies and 3 babies and 3 mamas, looks like. We have 6 deer out there this morning. Been having the last 2 or 3 mornings, been having only 3 or 4 come up there. So we're gaining a little bit. We're getting a few more deer come in to the feeder. That means that the acorns are perhaps a little bit more scarce, a little bit more difficult to come by. Look at that beautiful, beautiful doe just looking at me right there. I mean, a little baby doe. She is so fluffed up. It's 27 degrees out there this morning, a little warmer than it was yesterday. I think it was 22 yesterday morning, if I remember right. So I know it's nothing really exciting, no antlers or horns, but that's just beautiful right there. And 246, that's good. I like it. I wouldn't care if it was 20 or 30 out there. I'd just get more deer food. That's how much I love them, guys and girls. And I know that a lot of you, that's pretty boring to look at that right there. But to some of you that live in the city, or some of you that live in apartment buildings, and some of you that don't get to see deer very often, many of you live out in the country and out in the woods just like I do. And you share your deer stories with me, which I really enjoy. And as many of you have a lot of deer coming to your house every day. And even in some areas where it's not legal to feed deer, you can feed your birds or whatever, and some deer come around. And you can put out salt licks and stuff for them just about everywhere, as far as I know of. All over the South, we're pretty much allowed to feed deer. The northern states, where politicians seem to want to control the people a little bit more than they do in the South, have all kinds of silly regulations. But anyway, you have to follow whatever your regulations are where you live, and if you can't feed them, you can't feed them. But in the South, we can, and that's a beautiful little bunch of deer right out there, eating South Fresh Deer Food, getting their nourishment for the wintertime. And we all need a little help at times, and during the wintertime is one time that the wildlife, the birds, the animals, whatever animals it might be, appreciate a little human help. So that's beautiful out there. Should be some bucks coming around with all these does, but the rut is getting closer and closer every day to being over. Some of it will probably go through this month, though, I would imagine. This is not the big bunch, but it is a bunch of girls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. A bunch of girls, got a couple of young boys back there with them. There's about 4 or 5 jakes in there, it looks like. And they're right here close to the house. They hear me talking. They're kind of wondering where I am. You see them looking around. You see that jake right there in the middle? He's got his red head. That's a jake. And if you'll look, there's some more jakes back there behind him. They're larger birds and darker color. But those are babies. They have no beard of any kind yet. They're hearing me talking, is what it is. You know I'm talking low. And send them in the other direction. They go back the direction that came because they know that it's safe. But that's, if I counted correctly, is 18. Could be 17, could be 19. That's pretty slick. We got a lot more light, so we can kind of zoom in there a little bit better. But there's 4 or 5 baby gobblers there. Well, now Benelli walked out on the deck. She knows not to chase the turkeys. She knows the difference between buzzards and turkeys. When the buzzards get around the house, she barks at them and chases them. But when the turkeys get around, she doesn't. It's a pretty smart puppy. But once they learn. And they're just like you and I. They can tell the difference between a buzzard and a turkey. And sometimes at a distance, it's hard to tell the difference. But there they go. And that's evidently a completely different bunch than what was here this morning. Very cool. Very cool. Well, something we haven't seen come to the house here lately. It's what the grandkids call an elk deer. And there's a couple of elk deer right there. And it looks like 3 elk deer, a couple of mamas, and there's another one coming that's 4 or 5. Yeah, they're gonna come up here and check the feeder out. Benelli's out there in the yard. Benelli does not mess with the elk either, so we're not too worried about that. It's got up to 9 o'clock in the morning or so, so it's pretty bright out there now. They're gonna come and check things out. They probably will get around the alfalfa. They're gonna come up here and see if there's any South Fresh food. I don't know how many there are. I think I've seen maybe 6. There's a little bull back there. The rut is pretty much completely over for the elk. I guess it is completely over. I'm not an elk expert. I have hunted elk and taken a couple, 2 or 3 elk with my bow. Big bulls, big giant bulls out west. It looks like there's another bull coming in there. Those are small bulls. And you know, it's always good to see small bulls and small bucks because that means that the reproduction is going. That means you're going to have deer and elk continuing on. There's a couple of babies coming in there. Looks like 3 babies. Is that another bull? Is that a third bull, or is that just the second one? I'm getting a little confused here. I don't know really how many elk we got out there. But they're coming up and finding out that the deer pretty much cleaned up the South Fresh feed on the ground. And she will try, but I don't think she can get the lid off that feeder. I have that wired shut because they will empty a feeder in a heartbeat. There's 6 or 7 elk out there in that little bunch, a couple of bulls, and they're finding a little bit of feed on the ground. That's a little bonus. A bonus view this morning. I guess there's 2 bulls back there. 2 young bulls, probably their first antlers. That one's a little spooky. The other one says, I believe I'll leave too. But Nellie's probably walking around out there in the yard. I think she's right here by me, though. I saw her come back down from the lake. Had that big cows coming over there checking that feeder out. Let me see if I can get this lid off. Look at her pushing on it. See her pushing on it with her nose? Oh, she's got it raised up a little bit. Yeah, I better go scare her off. As fall fades, on another really cold morning at the Eagle. Temperature down in the 30s. Things coming alive. Another typical morning here where it's just absolutely glass slick out there and gorgeous, beautiful, calm, cold. More cold headed this way. Perhaps a little rain. And another incredibly great week God has coming. Another start to another day. Another week in this great, great month of November.
Okay, guys and girls, what a week it's been. What an incredible week it's been. We are beginning to see more deer around the house. We went during the peak of that rut, we went several days without seeing any deer at all, bucks or does, and let alone seeing big bucks or anything like that. But we're beginning to see a few more deer. They're beginning to have a little, instead of seeing 1 or 2 does, we're seeing 3, 4, 5, 6 in a bunch. Instead of seeing just a buck running around occasionally, we're seeing a couple of bucks together. They seem to be becoming buddies again, which they will do, without a doubt. But the amazing thing that we saw a lot of this week is turkeys, wild turkey. That one bunch probably had 50 or 60 birds in it. We're seeing turkeys every single morning here. I'm not videoing near all of the turkeys we're seeing every morning. And here's the deal on the turkeys that I want to point out, because this is really, really important. turkey population seems to be declining in just about every state. I'm not sure about New York. I've hunted New York a lot. Florida, I'm not too sure about Florida. I've hunted Florida a lot, but I don't hear good reports there. But I know that the states I hunt, Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Missouri, it all seems to be getting more difficult. Arkansas, in fact, some of them have even changed their limits around. We've changed our limits here in Oklahoma. They changed the limits in Kansas, changed the limits in Arkansas, and the hunting days. And it seems like that the turkey population is in the decline, and that's one of the greatest success stories that the wildlife departments have had all over the South is the development of the wild turkey, and not only that, but the development of great hunting in an abundant number. And I don't know exactly what's happening, but I can tell you, when we bought this ranch, there wasn't hardly any turkey at all. We very seldom saw a turkey on this ranch. We'd see one occasionally. Now we see them every single day, and we see a lot of big bunches of them. Now, it's true that in the wintertime, they do bunch up in bunches, so we're seeing, you know, a lot of turkey together at the same time now, but it gives you an idea of how many turkeys you have. The big gobblers will usually congregate by themselves. The hens and the jakes will congregate by themselves, and then sometimes the jakes will break off, and the jakes will just congregate together. But those jakes are just baby turkeys is all they are that's grown up, and they're bigger than their mamas. But so they stay with their mamas a lot during the early part of the winter, and they really won't break up most of them, until springtime. But here is the deal. We manage the turkeys intensely here in this ranch. And when I say manage them intensely, one of the key things we do is we really work on the predators, the things that kill turkeys, catch turkeys, the things that destroy nests, eat turkey eggs. And I think that if wherever you are, if you have some areas that you turkey hunt, if you will get after the predators that destroy turkey, some places it's not legal. Some places you can't destroy those predators, which is just an incredibly unguided wildlife system when that happens. But some places you can't do that. So you need to make sure you live within the law and do whatever's legal. But there are so many critters out there that are bad on the turkey population. You eliminate those critters, you're going to grow your turkey population. Back in the South several years ago, they had distemper get started amongst raccoons. I think Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, some of those states. And it wiped out a huge percentage of the raccoon population. And when it did, the turkeys exploded. So that's just one predator, a raccoon. There's several others. But if you can just work on the raccoons in your area and get those down to a limited number. We used to, as kids, we chased raccoons, we hunted them with dogs, we trapped them, we did everything we could do because we would skin them out and sell the hides. The hides were worth quite a bit, and as kids we made quite a little bit of money when you figured we was working for 75, 80 cents an hour, and you could catch a raccoon, skin it out, and sell it for $10 or $15, and it was really a lot of money. And besides that, it was fun, you know, doing all the coon hunting. But anyway, if you will, wherever you turkey hunt mostly, and whether it's your land or it belongs to somebody else, you get permission to go in there, do some critter getting. You know, here on this ranch, you know, if it's detrimental to fish or deer, wild turkey, it's pretty much on the hit list. So there are some things that it's not legal to kill, obviously, and some of those should be legal. About the only thing really ought to be totally off limits is our bald eagles and our golden eagles, which we have a lot of them. And one of the reasons that some of the other birds are off limits is they don't want you killing a bald eagle or a golden eagle accidentally. That's what I understand. But anyway, if you'll work on your critters wherever you turkey hunt, your turkey population will explode. It'll do it pretty quickly because turkeys will have 10 to 14 eggs in a hatch normally, some a little less, some a little more, but that's usually it, 10 or 12 eggs, 14 eggs. And so if you get rid of the critters that destroy those nests, the critters that catch those babies, the critters that catch those turkeys, man, your turkey population will explode in a hurry. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one. And remember, I sure do love you.